Hi, everyone, and good morning. And once again, delighted to welcome you all to what is the Muscle Help Foundation Charity's 11th episode in a series of informal broadcast chats and interviews with interesting guests and personalities called In Conversation With, hosted by myself, Michael McGrath. As I said in previous episodes, the mission of these conversations is to simply help our tribe, our community of amazing muscle warriors around the country feel less isolated and more engaged and connected. So, before we start flying high in talking about the business of drone piloting, aerial cinematography, as well as what it's like to work with some of the biggest names in the automotive, cinematic production, and sporting industries. I'm talking brands like Bugatti, brands like Aston Martin, Ocado, Lidl, and even a small charity called the Muscle Heart Foundation. And what does it take to become an award-winning business? We're going to find out all of that coming very, very soon. And also, we've got some breaking news for you all this morning. If there are any Ironman persons, Ironman couples even out there, you're going to enjoy this morning's conversation. So let's be clear. Most Ironman races, I think, allow around 17 or 18 hours to complete all three parts of the race, yes? And usually these races begin very, very early in the morning, about 6 or 7 in the morning. And get this, you're expected to finish the swim, I think, in about 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like that. You're expected to finish the bike ride by about 5:30 that afternoon. And then when there's a small business of a wee jog, a little jog, let's call it a marathon, that's a further 42 kilometers or 28 miles. And let's not forget the additional 385 yards, because that's what it is. And get this, get all that done by midnight. I mean, come on. And these hardened folks, do you know what? I believe they burn on average, wait for it, 6 to 8,000 calories, depending, of course, on factors such as intensity, the speed you're going along, and the time taken. Anyway, in this morning's conversation, we're going to find out exactly what an Ironman length triathlon involves, what the training regime entails, and why the number 657 features in our guest's particular challenge, and how you can support what will be an incredible achievement for this modern day iron couple, otherwise known as Jason and Sam. So before we get going with all of that, I just wanted to say another big, big thank you to those of you across the country following and supporting the charity's continued COVID-19 efforts. I know that what the charity is doing at this time is making an important difference in our community. It's helping, it matters, it's lifting spirits. And as I mentioned in our last episode, this charity belongs to you. It belongs to everyone. And our purpose and our values of being family-centered, compassionate, inclusive, ethical, and innovative sit very much at the heart of all the work that we're doing. But you know what? As a small charity, we do need your help. We do need your support. We do need your donations. So I know that many of our beneficiaries and families are still shielding. There are more restrictions that we're hearing about in the news over the last week or so. And once again, I just wanted to take this time out to say, I'm taking this period of time one day at a time. That's what I'm trying hard to do. It's not easy. And I would just like to say, be kind to yourself, keep strong, and remember, it's those little things, it's those little wins, the little victories each day that matter. Don't lose sight of that. As many of you will know, the charity is operating in a different way, and we're continuing to bring the joy, the magic, if you like, through our virtual interventions, our virtual experiences directly into the homes of our community, our beneficiaries. And we've got some exciting news. We've got some new virtual programs that we're currently scoping out, which I know that our community are going to love. So watch this space and check back later. As for initiatives like this In Conversation With broadcast series, I suspect that by next month, November, you know what, we won't be far off reaching nearly 50,000 people across the country. Conversations that entertain, inspire, inform, and uplift. So without further ado, a few quick housekeeping points. Firstly, a safeguarding note. We have eyes over this broadcast, so if any inappropriate comments or behaviors are observed, we will take action. And secondly, all episodes are recorded and streamed on the charity's Facebook and YouTube channels, and soon, I hope, also on the charity's LinkedIn page. Do check back at any time, and as always, you're all invited to get involved, and please, please, please share, comment, follow, and most importantly, subscribe. So without further ado, I'm delighted this morning to welcome Jason Smith, Director of CineCloud. Hi, Jason. Good morning.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a nice intro you said there. Thanks so much for that.
Absolute pleasure. Hey, Jason, you're a fully fledged muscle warrior. You've been supporting the charity for several years now.
Yeah.
And you've been helping us with some amazing bite-sized videos that, kind of illustrate the power of a virtual muscle dream intervention. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But hey, do you know what, Jason? We made it to Friday.
Another week done.
Another week done. And I gather we were chatting this morning. You were up early this morning and you've swum 2,400 meters in a swimming pool.
Yeah, 6 o'clock this morning. Yeah, 6 o'clock this morning. Sam and I were in the pool getting some training done.
Excellent. Very, very good. Listen, before we kick off, now, I always like to put a few interesting factoids, if you like, about our guests. So I happen to know that your favorite movie stars a certain Bill Murray and
yes,
Andy McDowell. Of course, I'm referring to that American fantasy comedy film where I believe Murray, he plays a kind of like a self-absorbed TV weatherman, doesn't he? And he's caught in this ridiculous time loop. And it kind of feels like we're in a time loop right now, aren't we, with this whole kind of COVID-19 thing, doesn't it? But anyway, Groundhog Day, if you hadn't guessed it. Great movie. When did you last catch it?
Oh, definitely during lockdown. I watched it a couple of times. It's just a favorite. It kind of mixes the time warpiness of it is great. I think the messaging behind the film's great, and most importantly, it's funny, and just enjoy watching it every time.
I mean, ultimately, it's about individuals with free will, isn't it? And that you can choose goodness if you wish.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of what the film ends with as well. He did the best by all the people that he could, and he learned by his mistakes as to how he could right all the wrongs that he did, and treat everybody in the best way possible.
Yeah, the only path to redemption. It rings
absolutely
true.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jason, given the opportunity, I always ask this question in Conversation with series. You know what, Jason? If you could invite just one individual, one celebrity, to your home for a pot of, I don't know, cinnamon tea or something, your favorite tea, whatever it might be, who might that be? Out of interest.
I'd love to have a conversation with Elon Musk. It sounds very typical, being, I say, probably a bit entrepreneurial myself, but I think he has a very interesting mind, and one that would be good to pick the brains of and get him to explain a few things. And he's the face of Tesla and SpaceX and the things that he's done and accomplished. I read his biography, and it's just kind of astounding, the things that he's done. So being actually able to meet him in person and ask the questions about where things are going on in the future. I know he always exaggerates how quickly things can get done, but that's just where his mind's at. He's looking to take people to Mars and set up colonies there, and it's just interesting, his work ethic.
I've already signed up.
Yeah. You're on the first ticket there.
I'm heading to Mars. That would be pretty amazing. Listen, I'm going to give you a challenge. Here's a mission for you. Why don't we try and get Elon Musk to join us on an in-conversation with Why Not? Sort of thing that he would do,
not?
And we've got a little connection with Tesla, haven't we? So anyway, Jason, where are you on the planet today? Speaking of Mr. Musk.
I am in Hoddesdon, Broxbourne.
In Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire, yeah, I believe.
Good.
Just north of London. Yeah, halfway onto this isn't my home, but yeah, halfway on the way to a job later in the day, but managed to fit this in. So thanks everyone for accommodating the time change.
No, that's good. And there's also a question that we always ask, which is, if you'd like to see one question in our little In Conversation with Briefing document, what might the question be? And just remind me what you wrote. Do you remember what you wrote?
You know what? I haven't got it.
I do.
What was it?
I'll tell you what you said. If you were to create a muscle dream that you could go on, what would it be?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. And you answered space flight. So, hey, we have something in common there. And that's another story for another day. So anyway, let's kick off. Help me out, Jason. How do we move from space? How do we move from space to drones? And I've got an idea. Hold that thought. How about we take a look at the 2020 CineCloud showreel, considered by many to be the best showreel on the planet. And it's a compilation, I believe, of some of your best work over the last 12 months. Let's take a look. you know what? It's such a wonderful thing to see. Such artistry. So how did it all begin?
You don't know how many times I've seen it.
How did it all begin, Jason?
How did it all begin? Goodness me. A long, long time ago, it feels like. Maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, my brother bought me a Christmas present, a small drone, kind of fits in the palm of your hand. I had this tiny little camera on it. And I was into tech anyway, and photography, a small amount. Took it out to the park, and this thing was getting blown about by the wind and landing in the bushes and things and all sorts. But because the camera was so awful, I thought I'll try and sellotape my phone to it, because it's got a better camera on my phone. The end of the day, the drone wouldn't take off; it was too heavy. So I ended up Googling that evening about bigger drones and bigger cameras, and I suppose the rest is history. Absolutely fell in love with it then. Fell in love with what people were doing 6 years ago. There were already businesses set up, very few doing it really well, and I thought I can get in on that. And then saved up for a year whilst at university working part-time, and then bought my first, proper commercial drone. And at the start, it was just for hobbyists. I really just wanted to take some nice pictures, and then more and more people started asking me to do weddings and photography for books and things, roof surveys, all sorts of different aerial work that people now had access to.
Roof survey, very good.
Yeah, so I suppose that's where it all began, and the rest is just history.
Well, it's not history, because how long has the business been going?
Yeah, I think just over 5 years now.
Just over 5 years. Just over 5 years. And in 5 years, you started from a sellotaped piece of technology to mixing it up with the likes of Bugatti, Aston Martin, and, as I said earlier, Ocado. I mean, that's a hell of an achievement in 5 years. Any top tips for those who are aspiring to perhaps set up a business, and any learnings, any little learnings from your perspective?
A couple of things come to mind. First of all is, so if you're a founder of a business, then you need to be 100% behind what you're selling to people. And I think that comes across in person, is that if you're passionate about something or not, whether that's cleaning dogs or walking dogs or something, or flying drones or cooking and baking or something, if you're passionate about it, it shows, and people believe and get involved with your passion for it, really. And I think that shows and drives the business as well. And then it also drives your own ideas, and you push yourself to learn more about the industry over time as well. And the second thing that comes to mind is just about being a good person, about being yourself as well. And there's times where there's good times and bad times with business and with clients and all sorts of goings on, and you just got to know it's a roller coaster and ride the highs and ride the lows.
Yeah, ride the highs and ride the lows. That's an interesting positioning statement. We've got a question. I'm going to jump into the chat room. Let's say a big wave and a big shout out to Toby. I know he's put a question into the chat room. He's at school, which is good to hear. Right thing to be placed at right now at school.
Absolutely.
Good for Toby. And hi to Toby and the family. And the question is, what is the best car? Okay, Jason, what's the best car in your opinion that you have filmed or filmed using your drone technology, and why?
It's a difficult one. I have a choice of many, I think, but if I had to choose one, it would probably be a Bugatti, which I filmed in Germany. And this is the car. It's the first production car to ever go over 300 miles an hour. And I had the opportunity to work with the Top Gear team to capture some online content for this, to produce some films around this car. And it's just an incredible experience on site anyway. You're there surrounded by a team of like 30 German engineers who have put their life, blood, sweat and tears into this car. And then to have the opportunity to film it, it's like filming a jet plane going past. Their main problem with the car was keeping it on the ground, because it's going so fast. It just wants to lift up and take off. Yeah. So it was quite interesting hearing that was one of their larger problems. But it was certainly a pinch yourself moment. Although it was technically difficult to film such a fast car, and I was there to do a job at the end of the day. But I think after the shoot, it really sort of set in as to what we had done when we started hearing feedback about the film.
So let's say a quick hello to Toby's mum, Kate.
Yep.
Hi, Kate. Morning.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for that. So another quick question for you. So you've been supporting. You're wearing a fabulous T-shirt there, Jason. Tell us about that.
Here we go. You know what? I probably got this about 5 years ago when we first worked together, and it's still going strong.
Excellent. I mean, that's what we like, stronger together. So, you're, as I said earlier in the intro, you're a fully fledged muscle warrior. You've been around our world for several years now, which is wonderful. And we're going to put up a picture, which I'm going to invite you just to tell us a little bit about. So, Grace, I know you're in the studio. If we can pop up a picture and just tell us a little bit about this experience for us, Jason.
So this is Porsche Muscle Dream, a great picture captured by the legendary Gary Perlmutter, who might be tuning in. I'm not sure, maybe later, but he's done a lot of Muscle Dreams with you as well. But here is our huge octocopter drone flying above the Porsche Muscle Dream team of 2017. And a great day, great weather for it.
What did you get from that day, just out of interest?
What did I get from that day? Other than the exhilaration of being part of, in my opinion, one of the best muscle dreams of the calendar. It's it's very rewarding to put together that film and capture not just the Porsches driving around the track drifting and doing all sorts of on the wet drift track and things, all doing the spins and things, but being a part of the day, certainly interacting with the beneficiaries. So before they go on the track, when we interact with the drone and get them to move the camera and talk about how it all works and things, I've got so many questions. We could be there for hours. So there's a lots of different aspects to the day, and then afterwards we put together the film, and then seeing the final product to remember the day by is great as well.
I think it's the magic of those smiles, isn't it? And for those that have tuned in today that don't know, or who are going to follow or watch this broadcast at some point over the next few weeks, this year, obviously with COVID, we were going to be delivering our 10th anniversary, 10 years. We've been working in partnership with Porsche and their driving experience center at Silverstone. But a little bit of a breaking news story coming perhaps a little later on in this conversation, which I'll share with you. But anyway, back to another little picture that I wanted to bring up on screen, which talks about the kind of the geography of the places that you've been to around the world. Tell us about this one.
So this is a picture of me operating a drone out in the Middle East in Jordan, in Wadi Rum. It's been host to the likes of Star Wars and other cinema-filling films. And it's just a bit of a showcase, really, of some of the places I get to go out into the world to film. And I've had the opportunity to go and fly drones to capture aerial content for. So whether that's Jordan, I spent 3 months out in the US, and so got all my permission sorted there. Been to various European countries, been to the highest peaks in Austria, filming on the tops of the mountains, been up to the West Highlands in Scotland, up in the Isle of Skye, and so been all over and travelled to some absolutely gorgeous places. And that's probably one of my favourite parts of the job, is about being able to travel with work. Although Hertfordshire is beautiful, not many people want to shoot their car commercials or or their new car releases on the M25.
So how has it unfolded in terms of your stable of clients? That mix between automotive versus other sectors. So how would, for example, maybe somebody that I don't know, mixes it up in the luxury yacht sector, and said, look, I want to get some drone footage of my beautiful yacht traveling through I don't know, somewhere beautiful. How does that unfold? How is it that you have actually ended up working with a number of automotive clients?
I think where I've got to now with certainly the automotive brands that I have had the opportunity to work with, I have a couple of times traced that back into where did the relationships begin and who made those introductions, and it comes from doing a good job on a job essentially that might not even come to it. So I can pretty much attribute all of my automotive work, I say all of it, the majority of my automotive work, back to a mountain biking job which I did in 2015. And some people we met there, and then you meet more and more people, and if you keep delivering a good product and one not just a good product, but you're also a good person on site, so you're happy to pitch in and camp if you have to, if there's not a hotel, which I did recently with Top Gear, or carry bags back and forth, or spend extra time on site to to capture the last light of the day or something. It's I think you then start to get a reputation, and then people start inquiring about the work that you've already done, and I saw you had done this, or you get to know like a specific niche. So when you started saying about filming someone with a yacht, I know people within the drone industry that do specifically maritime filming.
Okay.
So people who've gone into a niche, so I'd say my portfolio is mainly automotive, but recently has become more diverse because of COVID, because not many people are doing large productions. And actually something I just picked up because I wanted to show you is, although we saw a massive octocopter in that previous shot, this is one of my smaller drones that I'm flying nowadays, which is a small little FPV, first person view flown drone. We wear the goggles and see what the camera's seeing first person view, and we've diversified and slightly, and so we've now been completing like virtual tours for example, schools who are no longer holding open days. We're now flying through the schools and getting voiceovers done by the school children to sort of walk you around the school. Or we're having office premises, like commercial office premises being toured around. People who are selling residential properties, just reduce the amount of people that needs to be on site, as well as using state-of-the-art technology, which I've built and put together myself. All like 3D printed and stuff.
So I mean, they say, forgive me for interjecting, and my wife reminds me constantly, there is a difference between interjecting and interrupting. They say that variety is the spice of life, and it sounds like in the 5 years that you've been building your business, CineCloud, gosh, you've got a real mixed stable of clients, which I would imagine that diversity is a good thing. You enjoy that variety?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there are certainly jobs which you might feel like I've done something similar before, but every job is unique. Even if it's at the same location, a different day can mean completely different things. For example, at Goodwood Motor Circuit near the South Coast, the racetrack goes around an airport, and one day we operated there and there was no air traffic at all. We could fly in multiple places. The next weekend we were flying there, it was a nice sunny day and everyone wanted to take out their helicopters and their planes. So whilst flying, you're not dodging, but you're flying in between these other planes taking off, and it suddenly becomes a lot more difficult and more involved job, even though it's the same thing. And I suppose from the start, an example, like I shot some butterfly habitats for a book someone was writing, and they wanted an aerial perspective of certain marshlands, wooded areas to capture, to include in their book, to show what it was like up at like a butterfly's perspective going through woods, all the way to the car work and sorts of video tours.
No, excellent. Got a shout out to a gentleman called Phil Harris.
Hey,
I know that you and him shared an experience in Jordan or something.
We did.
So that's great. So Jordan said hi. Anyway, going back to our conversation. So, question: do you have a favorite in the 5 years that you've been doing your business? Do you have a favorite drone job, one that really sticks in your mind? Make sure you answer this very carefully, Jake.
I've got a few muscle dreams to choose from. That's for sure. And actually, you know what? I think thinking about a muscle dream that actually really comes to mind. helicopter muscle dream. You actually recently posted about this week.
Yeah.
And we didn't actually get to do much flying that day because of the bad weather. Yeah. But it was a very special job because of the impact which we could have. And you know, Pete and I both picked up some sign language so that we could communicate. And it was a very special job, that actually.
I think for me there was another highlight, which was literally 4 or 5 weeks ago when we had a very short spell of warm weather, and in 7 days we turned around a strictly socially distanced Wellbeing Outreach program, where 7 families literally came out of their homes, and they'd all been shielding, and came to a beautiful environment not far from Elstree. So talking about dodging aeroplanes, I know that you were mindful of what was going on up above, and it was a beautiful, beautiful setting, and we were very blessed to have that setting. And we created a well-being sort of picnic in the park concept, and I know that those families absolutely loved that experience, and that you were a part of that experience, and that you put together a little film to tell the story was beautiful. So, you know, thank you for that. So on to drones again, because this is the subject really, isn't it? Have you ever crashed a drone? A question that's just come into the chat room. Have you ever crashed a drone?
It's definitely a question that I need like printed on a t-shirt, along with how fast does it go, how high does it go, can I have a go, is it me at Gatwick? No, those kind of questions. Yes, I have crashed drones. Fortunately, not on a commercial job where I've injured anyone or damaged any property. It's all been in testing purposes. You know, for example, these FPV drones are made for very small congested areas, you know, flying indoors through, you know, I've been caught by curtains a couple of times. There was one, I swear, in a job recently that a curtain literally reached out and grabbed the drone and was trying to take it down. But in terms of like crashes or close calls, we do like thorough risk assessments before we get onto the site, as well as when we get on site. But even then, we still have to stay vigilant. We've had some close calls with low flying military jets and low flying Chinooks. So they come unannounced.
And low flying Gulfstream jets, I remember at Farnborough. And no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had you involved supporting again the charity with our flying programs at TAG Aviation Farnborough. And I remember having a conversation with their director of operations and talking about introducing this idea of having somebody come along, capturing the magic from up above. And it took a little while just to influence and to suggest, no, this person knows what they're doing. And then I know the conversations took place with the CA and all your risk assessments and the operational manuals, the work that goes on behind the scenes and all the diligence, that important diligence that a client absolutely needs to have before they sign a contract or tick a box.
Absolutely, they need to.
I was going to say, people don't realize just how much work goes on behind the scenes.
It's sometimes difficult to explain that, the amount of preparation work that goes into a job before we even turn up on site. And it's not just something you buy off the shelf and then turn up with and can capture what's needed. You know, there's a few different skills and industries going into the job. Really, it's the pre-job planning, it's then being able to fly an aircraft, and then actually being able to frame a nice shot and capture it at the right exposure and be in the right place at the right time. And at TAG, it was fascinating because they'd given us an area which we could fly, and they were saying, right, there'll be no other air traffic here, and we knew it was close to the live runway, but we didn't quite realize they were having a busy day, and there was going to be some 747s landing around about 150 meters, maybe even less than that. I'd say maybe 120 meters away from where we were flying at the time. We did have communications with air traffic control, so we do have to do that regularly. Sounds a bit over the top for small drones, but at the end of the day, we're in some of the busiest airspace in the world here, certainly in the south of the UK, and Tag Farnborough Airport, 100 meters away from the runway, is no different.
Very good, very good. Somebody's popped a question about your FPV work, and it does require a certain skill set to be able to fly, drones in the way that you do, and in the different ways that you fly as well. That requires a steady hand, but also good foresight and planning in terms of your route and what you're doing. How much time do you spend actually doing the planning piece?
Certainly the planning piece, well, beforehand, it really does depend whereabouts, whether it's in central London or alongside a runway, or if, for example, we're returning to Porsche, for example, we've communicated with them previously, and so we can kind of fast track our plans because they know who we are, what we're about, and that we're legitimate, really. The actual technical ability of flying these, I know Will is tuned in today, and he's tried flying one of these. So before I even tried to fly one of these drones, I spent about 40 hours in a simulator. So you can buy these games that are very lifelike, actually, only doesn't quite emulate wind very well, but very much the similar controls. And it's like an Xbox or a PlayStation controller. You've got two sticks, and it's very different to your standard drones, which are off the shelf. And so I put in about 40 hours into the simulator before even taking off my first build, but it meant that the first flight wasn't a crash, and I bought it in one piece.
Very good.
Which was great, seeing as the painstaking blood, sweat and tears I put into putting together the first one.
So some quick fire questions coming up here, which I spotted in the chat room. So any most challenging client job, briefly?
Oh my goodness. You say
quick fire round questions.
I don't know what to put now. Right, a recent one with Top Gear where we were very, very stuck for time and was filming the Stig, and he was drifting some cars, and sometimes the drone stuff doesn't get the time that I would like to, so you only get one shot to get it, and that's where the practice really comes into its own. And so the most challenging sometimes is when you've got a whole team there and you've only got one, maybe two takes to get the shot, and then it's on to the next thing.
Okay.
So they're possibly the most exhilarating and the most challenging, but you've just got to get into a zone, go through your own steps to kind of bring that adrenaline down and that focus into the right sort of energy, so that your reaction, embrace the nervousness and the adrenaline as your body's doing the right thing. Because if you weren't scared, there's probably something wrong. And
so one of our previous in conversation with guests was Andy Willman, the exec producer for the Grand Tour, and very much the founder, or one of the founders behind the Stig. So if Andy's tuning in today, I wonder if Andy's path has crossed with your path. But anyway, that was an interesting answer. Thank you for that. Quick fire, next question. Most exciting or breathtaking destination? I think you mentioned Jordan, over and above Hertfordshire, of course. But any other destinations that come to your mind?
Yeah, and it also relates to the time of when you're doing something, so which makes it more unique. So one that certainly comes to mind immediately is the Isle of Skye, a mountain rock formation called the Old Man of Storr. It was in the show reel towards the beginning, all these orange rocks all lit up, and it took a hike from at sunrise. Actually, way before sunrise, like 4:30 in the morning, we were going up this mountain, ready for the sunrise. And you never know what the weather's going to be like in West Highlands, Scotland. So we gambled, and it absolutely paid off. And it was just the stars aligned for about 20 minutes. The mountain just looked like it was on fire, and it was just one of those moments where you're just trying to capture as much content as you can. Yeah, it was just beautiful.
Am I right in thinking that the bridge in your show reel, that bridge was from, is it Little Big Lies?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one you mean. Well, I'm sure
there's a bridge that's been seriously filmed, and it was featured in Little Big Lies at the front end every time a particular series, but I wonder whether that is. But anyway, moving on, another question that's been thrown into the chat room is how has lockdown briefly changed the way that you've had to live your life, Jason?
Personally, business-wise? Well, personally, obviously, work basically stopped. All of my jobs which were in the diary got either mostly cancelled or postponed indefinitely. So I certainly had more time to myself and to spend on other things. We'll go on to this a bit in a little bit, but we'd already committed to doing an Ironman.
We're not saying that word just yet. You're preempting here.
So we did a lot of training, and I worked a lot on the business, on things which I hadn't made time for in a long time, which meant I could polish up a few things, preempt some things, and also really deep dive as to where, trying to see, first of all, how long this is going to impact the business, and then think about, right, do I still want to be doing this? Do I need to go get another job to supplement the income that's not coming in now?
It's been a testing time for many small businesses across different industry sectors. No doubt it's the same from my perspective in terms of speaking and engaging hearts and minds. We've shifted that position to a virtual form of engagement now. However, so you mentioned the T word earlier, triathlon. So tell us all a little bit about this Ironman triathlon challenge that you've set yourself for. Is it March next year you want to do this thing?
It is, penciled in for March next year. My fiance Sam and I will be giving it our best to complete an Ironman length triathlon. We set ourselves this goal, not just fitness wise, as to where we both want to do this and then be done with all events ever again, because we're sick of the long training hours now, but to do it for a good cause, and to keep ourselves mentally and physically fit as well. So the Ironman triathlon, it's a long one. It's going to take us all day, as you started off and in the intro with. It's 2.4 mile swim, and then 112 mile bike ride, and then a marathon, which is 26.2 miles. So you're looking at around 16 hours all time in. So as I was mentioning just previously, in lockdown, you'll laugh at this, as part of our training, I did a marathon. So that was good, even though we had events that we were going to complete, for example, the marathon. And then we also completed a half Ironman, so all of the distance, just half. And Sam and I both did that, and we survived. And it went well. We learned a lot, and looking forward to doing that next March.
Excellent. So shout out to Sam for sure. But listen, there's a question that's popped into the chat room. So who's the driving force in the Ironman couple?
It depends what discipline. It also depends what time of day it is. I suppose we both have moments where we kick each other into shape. I think it's only natural when the training can take up so much of your day. So at the moment we're training at least 6 times a week, and 3 of those you're looking at 2 hours plus of training, and the others are like interval training. And life can get in the way so easily, and we have to remember sometimes to prioritize the training over other nice things, like sitting in front of Netflix and watching whatever, or catching up with friends or something, can sometimes get in the way of actually getting the training done, and the scary thought of being on the line and feeling like you're not prepared, or not being able to complete it injury free, which is a big part of it for us. Is we don't want to be destroyed by this or be in a state where we do any permanent damage by the event. It is a serious undertaking, and it's going to hurt, and we know mentally it's going to be tough. I previously cycled Land's End to John O'Groats, so I've done 10 days of 100-mile day bike rides. That I learned a lot then mentally about where I could push myself to, and I think this is going to take me beyond that. And in a day, it's gonna certainly be a long day. And you see there the Instagram handle, so you can go follow us. We do updates on our training, how it's going.
No, absolutely. Iron Couple 657, and of course, Jason, for those that don't know, and for all of the thousands of viewers tuning in this Friday morning, what does 657 mean to you and to Sam?
Well, Sam certainly got involved with the charity recently and has supported CineCloud a few of the jobs. Recently, I see Sam just said that she's the driving force behind the training. Yeah, of course she would say that. Yeah. All right.
So what does the number 657 mean to you guys?
657 means to us, I say certainly about the impact of which we can have on other people's lives is such a huge part, and volunteering obviously for the charity, and specifically for the Muscle Health Foundation is the only charity which we're committed to, and we're see your family values and the build and all the people supporting the charity. We really align with our values, really. And obviously 657, the amount of muscles in the body, and completing the Ironman, I think we're going to need as many of those working as tip-top condition as possible. And really, I suppose another reason for doing the Ironman is actually Sam and I are both so grateful for the bodies that we do have. 657 muscles mostly working. Sometimes they fall asleep, and sometimes it doesn't feel like they're there. Sometimes feel like they're going to fall off. But we're very grateful for what we do have, and we want to use them to the best of our abilities. And we've both seen firsthand the impact of which the charity can have. And yes, we donate time and we volunteer for the charity, but this is another effort from us to raise money for the charity and get people talking about the charity and involved, and inspire others to do events in a similar fashion. Maybe not an Ironman length, but
maybe not an Ironman,
a sponsored silence or something.
Absolutely. I mean, let's just for those that are watching and tuning in at some point in the future on this particular episode, we could not do what we do without the support of volunteers. They are the lifeblood of our little charity. And so huge, thank you and much gratefulness, as you know, and love to you guys by way of a little note of thanks publicly here. So I gather that you were in Wales recently. And was that part of the training regime, or is that just time out for you guys?
No, it was by luck, it was good timing. It was just time out for Sam and I. But as nature of who we are, it turns into training. So we love being active anyway. So although it was a holiday, it did involve a 20-kilometer hike.
Of course.
We also did Snowdon, as you do, and then a bit of bodyboarding out on the sea, out on the waves. It took, because we've got the wetsuits now for the triathlons, we thought, why not use those? But then of course some well-earned rest and time to put some feet up, put the feet up, and catch some sleep.
So for all of those who are watching, who are in any way, shape or form inspired by what it is Jason and Sam are doing, the Iron Couple, all right, Iron Couple 657, head over to their Instagram channel and just punch in Iron Couple 657, and please follow their story. And if you want to get engaged or get involved and directly support their efforts and follow their story, please do go visit their channel, Iron Couple 657, and can take it from there.
I was going to say, if you see us out training as well, take some funny pictures of us or video and tag us in it and share it, because no doubt we'll look horrendous and knackered. So
and I think that, you know what, for those people that have done an Ironman, in any way, shape, or form, who are interested in outdoor sports, adventure sports, extreme sports, any messages, any top tips for Jason and Sam as they embark on their training regime?
Please.
You're getting the picture. You're getting the picture here, I think, everyone, in terms of the commitment required to get these things done, but then the additional commitment to support a cause behind it. There are so many worthy causes right now that need our support. So we're very grateful to you guys. So Instagram, IronCouple657. There we go. And apart from that, can people support you in any other way, just out of interest?
Well, other than finding us on Instagram and giving us well-being, well, of course, donating is the driving force behind the event. Okay. So we've got the golden giving link there.
Very good. So
type that in, you'll find us.
Very good.
We're looking for donations in the 657 fashion. So
you've just set up your fundraising page, which is wonderful. So who's going to be the first to donate? Will it be anyone that's jumped on today, or will it be any of your clients or any of the people that know the charity? Who's going to be the first to donate? So please jump on.
Set up and launching it.
Yeah, and it's just been spotted, because a lot of the notes just come in that you guys are wanting to raise how much exactly? What's the target figure that you guys want to hit?
We're going for 6,570. So I think that's a nice target to start with, and we'll aim to go way over that.
Yeah, fantastic. So when's your next Joan drop?
Literally in about I've got to be on site at 1 o'clock in central London. So we're doing some flying this little thing through some new office spaces in central London. So they want to show off to their clients and future clients what can be done. So that's the next one. And all sorts of things coming over the next couple of weeks. Fortunately, work has started to pick up now. And although I have to sign my life away on many COVID forms and things, it's fortunately we're both in good health at the moment, and I can still keep operating.
Well, long may that continue. Final question. So to close off today's In Conversation with episode, Jason, tell me, who makes you laugh the most in your life? And wait for it, why? Why do they make you laugh?
I've probably learned this through lockdown. So and goes back to the previous question about what lockdowns affected me personally. And it's got to be Sam, my fiance. She just makes me laugh so often. We keep each other's spirits up, and we can she can take me out of any sort of negative mood or any sort of negativity where I'm being pessimistic about what we can achieve. She'll make a joke or something, or she'll just brighten up the day. So
here's a bit of advice for you. Here's a bit of advice for you guys, for you two. It's coming from Sarah, one of our long-standing Muscle Warrior supporters. And Sarah says, don't forget to cherish each other. Love each other. Be kind to each other's blisters.
There'll be plenty of those. I've got, even from the marathon I ran earlier in the year, I've got black toenails, so they're sticking around for a while, and we'll be sure to send much love to them. Thanks, Sarah.
So as we bring today's conversation to a close, I just want to say a huge thanks to Jason for being such a good sport.
Thanks for having me.
Good guest, and for giving so generously of your time. Thank you. What's the best way that people can get in touch with you? Well, we know the answer to that, don't we? They can go to your Instagram feed and subscribe, follow your story. There are some amazing photographs on there that do tell your story, in addition to that wonderful photograph that you guys sent through recently about you guys summiting Snowdon. That was a beautiful thing. Thank you. So
you're welcome.
If I can invite you now, Jason, to give me your best Muscle Warrior salute.
Here we go. Wouldn't be a Muscle Warrior event without one of these.
Very
There we
good.
go.
Great stuff. And before we finish up, I'd like to get everyone's feedback. We like the feedback, so please, please, please head over to the charity's Facebook page, where you'll find a Survey Monkey. Just 30 seconds of your time, please. Any comments so we can improve the broadcast experience going forwards? That would be wonderful. And if you've enjoyed this morning's episode, or indeed past episodes, please consider making a donation in support of our work. You'll be helping our virtual efforts and directly supporting our community. And thank you so much. And for those that wish to learn a little bit more about our work, head over to musclehelp.com, where you can find out about our work and impact and how you can get involved. For our beneficiaries and families across the country who've tuned in today, thank you. And please, please, please don't forget to reach out with any suggestions as to how we can support you moving forwards. If you know someone that you think could be a great future in conversation with guest, get in touch. Let us know, whether it's Elon Musk. Thank you, Jason. And finally, it's our drum roll moment. Be sure that you tune in for our next episode on Friday, the 30th of October, episode 12 at the later time of 4 p.m. There's the diary date alert, where we'll be joined by Harriet Brady Jackson. Now, we talked a little bit earlier about laughter, and Harriet's specialist subject is indeed laughter. And she's going to be sharing with us all why having laughter in your life right now is a must. It's a medicine. It really is, especially during these challenging times. So be sure that you pop the date in the diary. That's Friday, the 30th of October. For now, stay safe and stay well. And until next time, big thanks again to Jason and to Grace and Will in the studio. Thanks to you guys for supporting this morning's broadcast. Have a lovely weekend all, and thanks so much. Bye-bye for now.